Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's probably a good time to just come off and just come on here for a minute. I've been going for quite a long time. Just sent me a message. Thanks very much. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So you could hear me now. Sorry, I don't know how long the sound was off. I pressed in mute and I presumed it would mute for just me and not the video, but obviously I was wrong about that. So presumably you didn't see it for a while. Oh, you didn't have the sound from on the video. Okay, no worries. Thank you. Whilst I'm on here, has anyone got any questions? Obviously, I'm going for a long time. I don't know where people think I should direct the evidence now. I've got so much. What I was thinking of doing was showing the Greenland evidence potentially, which I think is critical, and then coming back to the World Martial Authority. Because I'm thinking the Greenland evidence, well, it all actually links in because it's all tying in with the United Nations and with NATO as well. So, I mean, there's not enough people, to be honest with you, seeing it. But, Gary, someone is impersonating you. Right, okay. Oh, right, okay. Well, as in they've created the same username as you. Someone is impersonating you. Sorry, I've just seen that. But the video didn't have sound from the beginning. Yes, Greenland is what we need to see next. Okay. Thanks, Deborah. I'll focus on that next. I do think that's important. What about the Boy Scouts Association? It's very likely going to be obviously part of it. It's a good point, though. I haven't researched it, but it is bound to be linked in with all of this. I'm glad you can hear me. Touch on Greenland, please. Yeah, okay, no worries. I'll go into the Greenland evidence. So what I'll do, we'll come in and we'll look at I'll switch over to the evidence in a minute, and we'll look at the leader of Greenland, and also how that ties in with the leader of Iran, Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, and the Flemings. And we'll have a little look at that. And then we'll see where we go from there, because it will be tying into the World Martial Authority stuff anyway. And now it links back into the Rapid Response Team. So they're obviously pretty important in all of this for whatever reason. They all need to be arrested. Bannerman, all of the Rapid Response members, they'll be watching this. They need to be arrested. They're clearly linking in with this. They're linking in with my families. Even if they're trying to set up some sort of event as me being involved in this, you've still got this criminal network behind all of this. So especially now it's being linked into, murders which we're being led to believe are real, which they may not be, but we're being led at the moment to believe that all these murders going on are real. So we have to consider that they are, so Vanessa 7492 was doing it. Right, okay. Vanessa 7492 is trying to pretend to be Vanessa. I'd wait to see if Vanessa gets in touch with you after this live. It's hard to know who is who. Okay, well, I've received a couple of messages from Vanessa, so presumably it really is Vanessa on the messaging system we're using. Pretty windy on the Highlands tonight, is it? Okay. There was a lot of bases up there. Up there that the US left. We need to know if there are any links to the stuff you are uncovering too. There was a lot of bases up there that the US left, as in Greenland. We need to know if there are any links to stuff you are uncovering too. Well, definitely Greenland's connected to what I'm exposing, 100%. Now, what it looks as though they're trying to do, all right, because it links in with NATO and is it Article 5? Now, what they're trying to make the world believe, and certainly make me believe, is that if America was to breach the regulations under the NATO treaty or whatever it's called, then that would trigger an all-out nuclear war, because you're talking about mutually assured destruction. Because it says if one NATO country is attacked, then they all become involved. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think they want me to believe that's a risk. These people are all working collaboratively together. We have to remember that. It's obvious. And you're going to see, hopefully it will convince you when I show you some of the evidence that I'm going to show you in relation to Greenland. You'll see information to confirm that and how that is all tying in with this. So we'll look at that next when we go back over to the live. Now, it is getting quite late. I'll do it anyway, and it might be that I just do it again another day as well, going through the same evidence. Have you heard of the Colchester Council Watch channel? Yes, I have. They've refused to really engage with me much. Now, they were coming out, is it Rachel? I think it was Rachel, wasn't it? She was talking about the cell tower side of things. Now, this again is supporting that potentially we're looking at a deception even in relation to the cell towers. Okay. And we do have to think, well, why is Mikey P and why is Sasha Stone talking about the cell towers being a threat when they're all linked into it? And Sasha Stone, for example, appears to link into the Vatican, and he's saying it's going to be an extinction level event. Now, this ties back in with me because I'm the only person in the world, it seems, that has publicised me disabling a cell tower with identifying myself, and they're refusing to interview me. So this again points to, have they set that up to deliberately make me believe it was a threat so that I disable a tower because they're trying to see who I am in all of this? Is Gary going to actually put himself at risk and put everything on the line and try and save humanity? And therefore it helps convince them about something about me. I don't know. But the George Floyd evidence is huge, because that now tells me if they're not killing the people and they're telling them that they're dying, then what else is a deception? What else is really a risk? Who else is really not dying? Who else is, what other things are they trying to make us believe has been happening as a threat and trying to create a trigger event? What if it was all set up to make the right people believe that it was happening so they would come out of the woodwork and intervene? And now, I'm not saying they're not. I'm still full blown on, we have to arrest all of these people. Something has to happen to them because we've got this criminal system that's there anyway, and if there's any chance that children are suffering and these things are really happening, then it needs to end, doesn't it? Russell evidence when you can, Gary. Yes, Derek. I'm trying to prioritize. I definitely want to do the Chillingdon murders. I'm just trying to prioritize what's important for the world now in all of this. What I found with the Russell murders is, again, it supports potentially what's happening because it's the research coming in from the dad that I've found. And when you look at the Gazella, what was her name? No, Gazella. The evidence I've found from the dad is important. Now, I'm in touch with the mum of missing Gazella, Georgina Gazella. Gazella, I think her name is. Mum didn't seem very overly keen when I said I've got evidence. She's probably watching this tonight. So the last message I've had with the mum is that I'm going to be sending her the document. But the messages were just really good, as if she's worried about what the evidence is going to show. Now, remember, when we look at the evidence surrounding, oh my goodness, my brain's really not here today at all. Millie Dowler. The information and evidence is suggesting possibly, and I'm not saying this is definitely the case, but that evidence surrounding her mum is very concerning. Sally Dowler. Still haven't been contacted. All right, and it's linking back in. I think from that, I've got to check, but I think that's going back into the Vatican or into the religious establishments in all of this. So I think we could be looking at a huge, vast deception in relation to a lot of these incidents going on as well. Underground military bases. Yeah, so the military bases side of things, in obviously, I'm presuming you're obviously referring into Norway. They want us to believe. Now, I'm not saying military bases don't exist underground. Absolutely, there's going to be underground, locations and probably cities almost underground. They want us to believe that supports the potential risk to humanity in whatever they're planning, or some sort of natural event. I honestly don't think we're facing any natural disaster. I genuinely don't believe that at all. Okay, I don't believe that the asteroid ever hit the Earth with the dinosaurs. I just don't believe it, because I've got the information that suggests that could be fake. So I think so much of this is going to be a deception, and we have to consider all of it is a deception. We have to consider that. Poor Vanessa. Am I single? I don't know if I'm still married or not, to be honest with you. I don't think we're really married in the first place. I don't think anyone has been. That's how big I think the deception is in all of this, because of the forgery behind the registrations, which means we're probably not even married. There is a weather ship. They are disrupting NATO. Well, our Führer is mad. We need to know what Denmark and Greenland are up to now. Yeah, they're all involved. They're all involved. I think what they're doing is what I said. I think they are trying to make the world believe that there's a risk of a nuclear war because of the NATO Accords, or whatever you call it, where it says, because if Donald Trump attacks it and it's against NATO, then that would trigger, in theory, it could trigger a mutually assured destruction using the NATO countries. I honestly don't think that's the case. So therefore, they want us to believe that. Well, the only reason they would want us to believe that is as a test for humanity, or for an individual, or to bring something out, or to enable the people that are willing to put their neck above the line to actually do something in all of this. I read that's where they control the weather from. And who else? Orsini. Yeah, so Orsini, there's several families apparently. I mean, again, is this real? We don't know. But I've researched Orsini companies, and they link straight in to the fraud and straight to the companies I'm exposing. So we know if these black nobility families are real, then they are part of this international deception, linking in with the Vatican. It's all going back to the Vatican now, to be honest with you. Everything is, and when I'm coming in from my research now, I'm specifically looking for companies, and I'm finding them, and then finding the connections into the Vatican. Now, this links in with the collider technology, and what it means is it goes right back to the Reformation. So, and I keep saying this, you've got to seriously think, if they've had however many years, centuries, to plan this through the centralized control of all of information, and they're all working collaboratively together, they're not going to put, very likely, with the other evidence of the other deception and the fake deaths, they're not going to put their entire, it would seem now, because of the other evidence, they're not going to put their entire existence at risk. Now, we're seeing this money being funneled through the monks' organization. They wouldn't be doing that if the world was going to end. Why would they be funneling money anywhere? There'd be no point if the world was going to end. So we're not looking at an end of the world situation here. We're looking at a new beginning. I believe that 100%. We're definitely going to be coming out of this. There's no way this can carry on. There's absolutely no way this can carry on. But I don't think we're looking at a catastrophic end of the world event at all. I just don't believe that. I don't believe I'd have this evidence if that was the case. Gary, the street light opposite my house has been off all night. Had a dream 2 years ago that AI... Oh, that's 7429. Is that the real Vanessa? Do I need to block that Vanessa then? 2 years ago that a lamppost light went out and I was taken out. Glad Karen's with me. Oh, right, okay. The real numbers. Mass deception from devils in the system. And their system. Keep a blade nearby. That's why lead paint was on. Look, they could have killed me many, many times. If they really wanted me out, they'd have got rid of me. Now, if they're not killing me, then that tells you a lot. That tells you a lot. I know they knew where I was before I went in the prison. They made me believe I was going to be killed in the prison. They could have taken me out since I left prison. They haven't. Tells you a lot. I would be the one that they were going to want to get rid of if anybody. And if Vanessa's the real queen, then obviously Vanessa. But she's been around for a very long time trying to expose this. And she's had things happen to her, it seems. But she's still here. The towers are being switched on next week. They're working on them hard in my town at the moment. Well, you've got this supposedly activation date in March. I've seen like a document that's circulating around everywhere. A lot of you have probably seen it, that suggests that they're going to remove most of the population from March. I've got a feeling, again, I think that's going to be a deception. Is there really? Do you really think there's that much evil in the world? Do I really believe that all three of my families are actively linking into and supporting the skinning of children? I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that's the case. They want me to believe that's happening. This is why Andrew Bridgen came out and told me about adrenochrome. Well, he linked straight to Exbourne Manor, which means you got the connection to my family. He wouldn't have told me about the adrenochrome. Why would you implicate yourself in the blood of the tortured children? Why did John Wedger suddenly start praying when I was telling him about all of this? John Wedger links to the Knights Templar, to the Knights Foundation, which links to the child abuse inquiry and links to Julian Assange, the Doomsday Cult. Do I really think all of these people are evil? No, I struggle to believe they're all involved in supporting the crimes against the children. No, I really don't think that's the case. The ocean is out of space. 1300s. Yeah, the Reformation from 1300. This all goes back to then. All right, that's a huge signal for us. If you have a German company that was formed right back then to control information as they're bringing into the governments, bringing the governments across the world, which means mind control, then that's a huge indication that a lot of what they're doing is a deception. Why would they put themselves and their whole future at risk when they're all working collaboratively together? But they want us to believe that they're not, and that is potentially going to bring the world to an end. Doesn't make sense. Greenland is full of old US military bases. Are there connections with the transporting of people to perhaps Europe? Well, what we'll do, we'll go into the research shortly of Greenland, and I'll show you what I've got. I've also looked at a little bit at Uri Geller, who was the spoonbender, because he's got an island, supposedly an island called Lamb Island, thanks to somebody else told me about this. And I've researched Uri Geller, and it's linking into everything again. So they have underground places for the elites, 100% real. Yeah, it very likely is real. It could be for them to go and hide once the truth comes out. Because let's face it, if you've got, whichever way you look at this, if you've got an international government fraudulent system, and there's any chance that the children are suffering, which there is, because the system deliberately allows the laundering of the money in relation to it, then they're going to think that they're going to be targeted in all of this by the innocents. They use frequency weapons. Yeah, the evidence does suggest that. The evidence does suggest that. Was the intercepted oil tanker from Venezuela actually blood? Yeah, I need to look at that, actually. I haven't had a chance to look at that. But it'd be very interesting to research the company involved in the boat, etc. Lady Diana bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones lives in Carmarthengarry. Interesting. Thanks, Derek. Definitely linking it. There's other, you're going to see as we come in from the Daniel Morgan murder, there's another Rees, and there's apparent links being made into that Rees, who was a suspect for the Daniel Morgan murder. Now, this is looking as though it may link in to Daniel Rees, to the bodyguard of Princess Diana. Now, if we look at that evidence that we saw earlier of Diana Spencer And that suggests she may still be alive. If that's her, and she had something to do with that company and then resigned in 2008 after her death, we have to consider that now. Test your water. If you really had the info you think you did, then you wouldn't be, you'd be dead, not YouTube yapping about it. Unless there's something about me. Let's face it, why is it all centralised around me? Why did Jimmy Savile live in the block linked to Exbourne Manor? Why are all of my family linked to David Icke, Jimmy Savile, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Jeffrey Epstein, the main Freemasons Lodge? There's more about this than what we're all seeing here. That's right. Each person is worth $2 million. That's in all banking mortgages. Follow the money. Where do you think Jews originated from, Gary? I'm not very good with history. The Waterman name that I've been given links back to potential Jewish/German origin. The evidence I've got, I mean, a lot of it's going to come from Pharaoh times, ancient Egyptians, isn't it? According to what we're told. But remember, they control all of the history, all of the information, so it's very difficult to know what is actually true in terms of the history in all of this. We know we've got a system of international government fraud. We can tell that not only from the evidence, but the inactions, the lack of reactions, and the things that are happening as that is exposed. And the evidence, it's a trail of evidence. It's not a case of, well, here's one bit of evidence. You can look at a simple bit of evidence, but when you then follow that trail of evidence, it connects all of the dots together and links into all of the world's problems. Your live keeps pushing me out where I have to come in again. That doesn't surprise me, Squiggles. That doesn't, yeah. I mean, that's probably why the numbers are so low. I just can't get it out to enough people. I mean, again, this is another thing. Why aren't they shutting me down completely? Why aren't they getting rid of my YouTube channels all of the time? Why are they allowing some of my videos to have 50,000 views? Now, they could just keep shutting it down and they could find me and get rid of me. They're not. They're not. And I'm producing the most important evidence on the planet at the moment, connecting all of the dots together. And I'm putting their faces in a document linking to the potential skinning alive. So they're not going to want that, are they? Not fear, low frequency. The end of their world, beginning of ours. Yeah, I absolutely believe we're going to be seeing a new beginning. We are going to be seeing a new beginning. Now, they're obviously not going to be wanting to face any consequences to what they've been part of. But the interesting inversion in all of this, if we look at Jesus, what did supposedly happened? He sacrificed himself for mankind, for the sin. What could happen in all of this is these people behind this international government system maybe not necessarily sacrificed as in take their lives, but they're going to need to face some sort of consequences for the system of crime that they've had in place against all of humanity. And I think they're going to realise that. There's going to become a point where they're going to realise that they have to submit to truth. They have to submit to moral conscience. At the moment, they're not doing that. That means they're working against the Creator. They're not working on behalf of the Creator because they have a system of deception that goes against the moral conscience. I think there'll come a time when they realise that truth is their salvation. Truth is their salvation. Truth is all of our salvation. It sets everybody free because once you reset to truth in this world, it gives us a foundation to move forward to sort out all of this mess. And you can only do that when you explain or when you stop a system that motivates the lies and the deception. Show the documents. I have been showing them on the video. I've just come on here for a minute just to answer some questions. No, they are targeting areas. I have seen the proof. They are testing stuff out. Street lights are flickering in parking lots at night all over the US. I mean, that's what all of the evidence tells us. All of the evidence says that the cell towers are a threat. But we have to come back to, it's possible that George Floyd did die, but The evidence is pretty overwhelming that he didn't, and I'm getting the other evidence to suggest that a lot of things might not have happened. But that being said, at the moment, I have to consider, because they've told us these things are real, then we have to, at the moment, until we can prove they're not, we have to presume they are. The unseen are protecting you, Gary. Thank you, Squiggles. Yeah, I'm definitely alive for whatever reason. We know we've got the Knights Templar linked into this. I think they're meant to be a good potentially, you can have obviously bad people in everything. But it's potential that they are somehow making it seem as though they're involved and turning against me, but actually potentially they're protecting me somehow in all of this. Now, they linked into the religious aspect in all of this, going right back to the 13th century at least. There is a huge sun flares through tomorrow. You might have some interference. Thank you. I'm the real Vanessa, Gary. My number. Don't block me. Okay, Vanessa, no worries. Sorry. I think good is coming. Yeah, absolutely. Look, I would not have this evidence if good is not going to come from it. Okay? Why do you think I'm still doing this? Why do you think I'm still motivated? Even though I've practically lost everything, I'm living in a tent. And I can't even meet with people, but I'm still really, really motivated in all of this. Probably more so as I'm finding the more evidence that I am. I believe there's more people are involved, but I could be wrong. I not know you family. 3-Eye Atlas is nonsense. Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe that comet even existed. Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming, the evidence in that. Can you do a backflip? No, I've always wanted to be able to, though. I've never learned to. I probably could if I practiced. I'd love to. I love that random question. Anyone broke any bones recently? Not me. Just stay vigilant, Gary. Anything is possible. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very, very cautious. I'm whatever. It might be why I've got this far. 2022, I started doing this, but I think they could still take me out if they really wanted to. I forgot my own appellation. I'm at risk. God got me. How do you prove all this lead back to skinning children and crimes against children? Okay, well, first of all, we're told that Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein and that crew are all involved in crimes against children, which we're led to believe is the sexual abuse of children or trafficking of children, and potentially more serious crimes, but they don't sort of go into a lot more detail about that, although it is now coming out, isn't it? They're now talking about Donald Trump having been involved in killing children. Well, I've linked them to the Pizzagate scandal. Right now, the Pizzagate scandal exposed the skinning of children or a young girl alive in a video. Then I found loads of skinning companies, literally skinning, the Skinners Academy, which links to Ghislaine Maxwell. Then I found the Skinners, the worshipful company of Skinners, which was involved. Now again, put this information out there again. All right, that involved skin and fur. Okay, and it has a motto of all glory to God or something like that. And now they're involved in educational establishments. Publicly, that's what they're telling everybody. So if you put all of that together, along with the crimes against the children and the Hampstead child abuse inquiry, the drinking of the blood after the decapitation of the babies, supposedly in that case, and then you link it in with all of these other high-profile cases of apparent children's death, along with the skin companies linking to Clinton companies, linking to the police, linking to Duran and other people like that, these skin companies. And then you find out about the Red Shoe Club, which the Red Shoe Club apparently, which they've put this information out there. Remember, we've got to remember, they have allowed this information out there. They've allowed it. They control all information, everybody. Now that suggests that they're putting the skin of children into the shoes that they wear. Do you really believe these people are that evil? I struggle. I struggle. And I pray not. And I pray it's a deception. And because of the evidence I'm now starting to acquire, we are starting to see the deception in this. We're starting to see that potentially this is all a deception. Now, I'm not saying, of course, I'm not saying children aren't being abused. Obviously, there's a lot of crimes going on. No doubt people at some point are going to have been murdered. But the high profile side of things, the fact that they have these investigations that cost millions and they publicize it. I mean, let's look at the Madeleine McCann case. Hundreds of thousands of children go missing every year, apparently. And yet they've singled out Madeleine McCann as the most important missing girl in the world. Now, I've found the links that suggests her skin was worn in Prince Harry's shoes at the time of Jeffrey Epstein's arrest. Okay, now there's a lot of evidence to support that. But I now have to think, what if they put that there for me? They knew I would potentially expose that. So I come out of the woodwork and I put an end to all of this. And I come forward to try and change the world. But, you know, maybe they thought they'd get away without facing any consequences somehow. Maybe they will. But, you know, I've got all of this evidence tying in with this. So I think, should we get back to doing it? What's the time? Oh, past 12. It's getting a bit late, isn't it? I just don't know whether to. We'll do it anyway. Let's get the let's do the evidence of Greenland. I think it's really important with everything that's going on at the moment. I know there's probably a lot more questions on here, so I'm going to go back to live showing the research of Greenland first of all, and then I'll probably stop at that. Depending on how many people we've got on, if we can keep it above 100, then I'll probably keep going and try and do the World Martial Authority stuff. Okay, so let's flip over to a live to show the evidence. See you in a minute. Oh, how do I...